Hey, I'm going to use this other account over here to respond to questions because when you talk about Palestine on the internet, you've got backup accounts. So I believe what you're asking me here, brother, is um, what is the as far as Zionism goes, what is their religious tie to the Holy Land? And there's two really interesting things to note here. Number one, that Zionism is not a religious movement. It is a secular movement. They aren't religious people. It was a political movement, a Jewish supremacist movement, but Jewish culturally, not religiously, right? And it was really an Ashkenazi supremacist movement because other forms of Jews, Mizrahis, Arab Jews, Iranian Jews, Yemeni Jews, were treated like absolute dog shit by the early Zionists. And to this day, in a lot of ways, it's really worth looking up something called the Yemeni Children's Affair. Crazy. The second really interesting part about this answer is religiously, Jews are not supposed to have a homeland. God exiled the Jewish people for basically turning their back on God a whole bunch of times. They will eventually, in their beliefs, get a homeland back, but God has to come give it to them. So the existence of Israel or any Jewish-run state or homeland is actually goes completely against Judaism. And any religious Jew I've ever met and brought this up to, they're like, yeah, that is absolutely the case. Religiously, they're not supposed to have a homeland. But some of them will still argue, well, it's important for the Jewish people's safety that they have a place they could flee to in the case of possible Holocaust or something like that. And that's really fresh in a lot of Jewish people's minds, mostly because Israel as a state traumatizes children at a young age. If you go to grade school in Israel, they show you pictures of dead Jews in like kindergarten, and they purposely traumatize their children with this information. And what they kind of do is say, hey, you are or could become the victim of a future Holocaust. And that Holocaust will likely be conducted by Arabs, which is super fucking weird because the Jewish people have always been extremely safe in Muslim countries. And all the Arab countries happen to be Muslim countries. So yeah, if you know any old Palestinians from Israel's only been around for, since 48. I know a lot of older Palestinians who were born there and said, oh, my Palestinian Arabs. And they go, my godfather was a Jewish man. Like, there were Jews in the Holy Land. They identified as Palestinians, a lot of them. But yeah, just got kind of carried away with this. But yeah, that's kind of the zoomed out, the kind of big information that I think is interesting about all this. God bless you, brother.